What's going on, guys? My name's Cam, and in today's video I'm going to be giving you guys a few items that you can use to start reselling and making money right now. So pretty much I made a list over the past few months of things that have been selling very well and are very easy for beginners like you probably to get into and start making money with. Now, before I go into this list, I have to give you guys the criteria on the things that I use to add to this list. I didn't just add a bunch of random items that are selling really well on eBay. I really spent a lot of time on this list and wanted to make sure that these things are the easiest and the best for you guys to start selling right now. So criteria number one, there has to be a minimum profit of at least $15 and there has to be a maximum profit of at least $100. $15 is right around that area where it's cool for you to start in. You're not making too little. At the same time, you're not making too much. While $100 is right at the time when things started getting a little bit harder to ship whenever you get over $100, because items start getting heavier, the value is a little bit more, and you don't want to make beginner mistakes whenever you're reselling really expensive items. So I'm going to try to keep all the items in this list between a minimum of a $15 profit margin and a maximum of at least $100. The next part of the criteria is that the items have to be easy to find. When I made this list, I was thinking about a beginner reseller, somebody that's just got into it, or even somebody that's been doing it for a while. And I said I would hate for them to be running around their city trying to find items that are just impossible to find. So I'm not going to be showing you guys the typical BOLO or the typical be on the lookout for items. I'm going to be showing you guys items that are a whole lot more common that you probably missed over whenever you go to places like Walmart, Target, or your local thrift store. The next thing is that it has to have a high volume of sales. And this is probably the most important thing, because whenever I thought about it again, I said I don't want the people who watch this video to be sitting back trying to sell items and sitting on them for 3 to 6 months. I'm going to be showing you guys items that are selling very consistently every single day so that you can pick it up and be confident that you're going to be able to make a return on your investment relatively quickly. All right, I'm not going to make you guys wait anymore. Let's go ahead and just get into the list. So the first thing is vintage video games. When I say vintage, I mean vintage is starting right around 2006. So like your Wii's, your PlayStations, the PS3s, all of those vintage video games. The things that are really cool about those games is that most people bought them whenever they were new, or they bought them years ago and they've just been sitting on, and now they just want to sell it because it's taking up space in their home. It's so beautiful because these people don't typically know how much these things are worth. So if you guys have been watching my Instagram story, you see me all of the time picking up Wii's for like anywhere between like $40 to $60, and I usually sell them for closer to $100. So this one is a beautiful one, guys, because most people do not know how much their old Wii is worth. So you can find one for 20, 30, 40 bucks, and then if it has the more accessories, you can sell it for close to $100. Now, the average profit margin for most of these items is right around 20 to 80 bucks. That is a super dope thing, especially if you've just started reselling. Being able to sell an item from right around 20 to $80 profit is super dope. Now, the biggest drawback when it comes to these older items is that they are old and they are electronic items. So you have to be able to watch a few YouTube videos, figure out if the cables will work, make sure everything is in place so that you're making sure you're not selling anything that's broken. But a little bit of a side note here is that you actually can make money off selling broken items. You just have to make sure that you list it they're broken and list everything that's wrong with them. And people who fix those types of games, they'll be more than happy to buy them. The next thing on this list is pool equipment. So your floaties, your pool filters, and the physical portable pools themselves. These things have been absolutely flying off of the shelves, mostly just because it's summertime. And on top of that, the coronavirus is still a thing. So a lot of public pools and places like that haven't necessarily opened back up. And then a lot of families don't feel safe going to areas like that. So they have been buying pool stuff like crazy, guys. Now, my absolute favorite thing about this product is that you can find it at places like Walmart. As a matter of fact, Walmart is probably the best place to find these types of items. Now, they have an average profit margin of about $15 to $100. It varies so much because it depends on the type of pool equipment you're selling. So for example, if you're selling like a floaty or like a pool filter, typically the smaller stuff that people don't expect to cost as much, then your profit margin will be a little bit slimmer. But on the other hand, if you can get your hands on the portable 40, 30-foot pools themselves, that's where you can make super big money. And then that's when the profit margin can even go up to about $150. Now, a big drawback about this item is that it is very seasonal. So I would hate for you guys to stock up on a bunch of this stuff and then the season ends and now you're sitting on a bunch of stock waiting for next summer to roll around. Another thing is that you have to have a big amount of capital for, let's say, the big flip. So the actual big pools that sell for a ton of money, you don't want to be starting out reselling, trying to flip those things if your budget is very limited. Now, on the other hand, if it isn't limited, you can be able to sell that type of stuff and be able to make your money relatively quickly. But if it's not, then I'll recommend start small. Start at the pool filter, start at the floaties, and then work your way up to the big stuff. The last thing on this list, guys, is outdoor sports equipment. So things like your golf bags, your football cleats, and all of your outdoor equipment. These things have been absolutely flying off of the shelves. And a lot of it is simply because of the coronavirus. People haven't been able to do a lot of organized sports, so to speak. A lot of leagues have been canceled, but people are still going outside. People still want to be active. And on top of that, a lot of gyms still haven't opened back up. And if they have, people don't always feel safe going to them. So you can capitalize on this market because the people who would typically go and do these outdoorsy stuff, they haven't stopped doing it. They've just been finding new ways to do it. So you have, as a reseller, have to find new ways to help market and bring value to these people. The average profit margin for these is about $10 to $40. Now, while it might not be as high as some of the other ones, these items are extremely easy to find. I mean, you can find these at like your thrift store, your garage sale, and on top of that, they're not very hard to ship. So like some of the other stuff that I was mentioning that can potentially break in shipping, these types of items are meant to sort of be tossed and thrown around. So even if you're not good at packaging stuff, you can put it in just kind of a regular shipping box. You don't have to put too much thinking into it and the item won't be broken upon delivery because they're meant to be tossed around. So sort of a drawback to selling this type of stuff is that it's just not the highest margins, especially compared to some of the other stuff that we mentioned earlier in this video. But whenever you dive really deep into it and you get very diversified in your knowledge of outdoor sports equipment, this can potentially be some of your best sellers. Again, though, the drawback is that you're going to have to sell a few more items to meet the profit margin that you might meet for one item in a different category. And then probably the biggest drawback is that you have to know your brands. I mean, when it comes to outdoor sports equipment, a lot of people naturally assume that things like Nike and Adidas are the things that you want to buy and the things that sell the most. But that's just not the truth. A lot of sports like figure skating and hockey, they don't necessarily want the Nike and Adidas product. They want the premium brand for whatever sport they play in. So a lot of times you have to spend time just educating yourself on what people want to buy, why they want to buy these things, and how you can source them. Because with stuff like this, it's not going to be your traditional Nike and Adidas stuff. You have to really spend time doing your research, finding out what the people want, and then figure out how to give it to them. I hope you guys really enjoyed this video. Now, these were very broad topics, and I left them broad for a reason. I wanted you guys to sort of think very broadly and being able to narrow down your categories on the things that you wanted to sell, being able to try different things, seeing what works and what doesn't work for you. So these 3 ways I really hope help you guys in your reselling journey. And if you found any value from this video, go ahead and drop a like, subscribe, drop a comment down below. Guys, you do not know how much I love reading your comments and how I literally will read every single comment and I respond to every single DM. So add me on Instagram, add me on Twitter, hit me up if you have any questions. And most importantly, if you guys have any dope flips, any super cool stories that you can tell about an item that you sold that I just named, drop it down in the comment. I would love to hear you guys' success. And until next time, guys, stay real and keep hustling.